Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin', Fantasy Champions?
What's up?
We got a weird looking camera angle today. Weird looking camera shot. The camera that we usually use is not functioning properly, so we are currently on an iPhone.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it should be an interesting show. Welcome on into the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always.
What's up?
And we got free agent wide receiver discussion today for the 2021 season, off season, if that's the right way to say it.
There's some good ones.
March. Wait, we're only a couple weeks away from free agency. Is that proper? Is that right? I think it's March 17th.
Yeah, it's like 5 weeks. 6 weeks. I mean,
oh, you know what?
It's February 1st, bro. February 2nd. Wait, what is today? February 2nd, yeah.
I just realized that my camera shot is on my watch.
That's so funny. I can see myself on your watch.
That's ridiculous. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that. Before we do, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Be sure to hit us up on those places. Facebook is just worthless. So, I mean, you can like us there if you want. But anyway, Facebook and or Instagram and Twitter is where you want to find us.
Dude, you know what I'm thinking? You could use that like as a spy. Like place the camera somewhere and record and then like go in a different room.
I
and just
haven't
go like this.
done it, dude.
You're weird for that one.
Yeah. So anyway, follow us on those platforms. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, really leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. It is the best and easiest way to support the show that you subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe as well.
Subscribe.
It's easy. We're up like 30 subscribers in a month, so
That's lit.
just keep subbing.
Yep.
And then liking our videos, because that is like the easiest way to support our brand. Click the bell for notifications, like and comment down below. So let's jump right into our analysis. I don't even have my phone. All this is going to be digitally archived with my head.
Well, the first ones should be easy anyway. You know,
We got the first one on the list. Probably the biggest and best free agent at the wide receiver position is Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears. So there was some support and thought that Allen Robinson would re-sign, but he has not.
Yep.
So
He has not yet.
we're just going to assume that he hasn't still and continue to talk about him. So I'm going to say that he re-signs with Chicago. That's probably the more likely situation or scenario at this point.
Okay.
But assuming he does not, where do you think the best landing spot is for him?
I don't really
Or
want
maybe
to.
in the worst, too.
So what I would say with Allen Robinson is I agree. I think he's going to stay. But if they run it back with Mitch Trubisky, I'm not sure he will. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I think he wants to play with a good quarterback.
Okay.
He went from Blake Bortles to Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles in there in between. I think he's going to want to go to a team that he feels like has at least a better quarterback than Trubisky. You know, whether that's Green Bay, I don't think they have the cap space to do it. New England, if they get a quarterback, but that's a big if, because as of right now, we don't know who their quarterback is.
Right.
That only leaves a few teams. I do think Chicago is the most likely.
Yeah.
The Lions, that would be so gross. Looking at these teams that need receivers.
The Eagles and the Dolphins also need wide receivers.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind Miami. I think wouldn't.
Miami is the best spot Chicago or like a team that like New England, if they get a quarterback, I think would actually be a really good spot because he's probably going to demand a lot of targets there still.
Mm-hmm.
And then if like let's say they get an upgrade like Jimmy Garoppolo, then he'll put up pretty much the same numbers he did in Chicago, maybe even better. So I think that's probably a good spot. The teams I don't want to see him on the Giants
or the Jets.
I've heard the Giants as a rumor. Yeah, if the Jets. Well,
I feel bad for. I mean, because Sterling Shepard and what's his name are not terrible wide receivers.
No, Darius Slayton's not bad.
They're not bad, but
they're trying to get like an alpha dog.
They're not Allen Robinson, and I still believe in Danny Dimes. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he still unlikely. Shows flashes, but like I don't know, man. And then the Eagles too, like both those NFC East teams, I wouldn't be too thrilled about. I feel like the Eagles are just going to be a team that, like, Jalen Hurts, I don't mind.
I feel like all the teams that need wide receivers are not going to be a good landing spot for him.
Yeah.
So
I think New England, if Green Bay, I don't think they're going to have the money, though.
No, it's not gonna. Where do they put their money? They literally have no talent anywhere besides Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones.
Offensive line.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I think Chicago's probably where he ends up. I could see him. Some people say the Bengals need a wide receiver. I'm not really in on that.
I don't know.
I wouldn't mind San Francisco. There have been rumors floating around San Francisco, or they're looking to draft a wide receiver.
Why?
I don't know.
They already have Debo and Brandon Ayuk.
At this point,
Kittle.
keep Ayuk, keep Debo, and if you really believe that you need another wide receiver, you probably can just. I don't see the need of wasting a first round pick when you need some defense.
And they took a first rounder on Ayuk last year too.
Yeah. So that's the least of their worries, but that would be a good landing spot. I would be okay with that, whether with Jimmy or anyone else. That's a good place to be.
Yeah, that's a good system too.
And then obviously Kansas City. I actually think he is. Allen Robinson. He plays inside and outside. But I really do feel like he would be, because when you watch Sammy Watkins actually,
I was gonna say he's like,
when he plays and he's healthy, he gets 9 to 11 targets a game.
I feel like he would play the same Watkins role.
He would play that Watkins role, but actually stay on the field and stay healthy. It would be far better than Sammy Watkins. So I think Kansas City would be a ridiculous.
Do they have the cap space though? I mean,
no, they do not.
Yeah,
they can't pay Tyreek Hill and Allen
What about
Robinson.
the Colts?
Indianapolis, I don't think it's a bad location, but his fantasy value moving forward kind of depends on the quarterback position.
Yeah, agreed.
Because they don't have Phillip Rivers, and thank God he retired. I think he saw the writing on the wall.
Yes,
my career's over. Also, complete side note before we continue to move on, Stafford was traded to. We don't do news anymore. Remember, except for during the regular season on Fridays. But
he was traded to the Rams.
He was traded to the Rams.
A
third, and Jared Goff. So, if he goes to Detroit, Detroit needs some wide receiver help. I think it's more. We'll talk about this guy later, but I think it's most likely that Kenny Golladay return than them just sign Allen Robinson.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
So I don't see that happening, but Detroit might be an okay landing spot.
Why would Robinson go there unless Detroit just throws a gazillion dollars at him, though?
No idea.
I feel like if Robinson's gonna leave Chicago, this is kind of my point. I think he wants to go to a team with a quarterback.
Yeah. Now they say this platform that we're using to figure out team needs, they're showing that the Raiders just need a wide receiver in an ancillary sense. I don't agree with that whatsoever. I think they need a wide receiver in a lot of senses. So would they?
You don't like Hunter Renfrow?
No, I'm good with Hunter Renfrow.
Nelson Aguilar is like their
kind of their wide receiver one. I think they
did draft Henry Ruggs and Brian Edwards.
They wanted Brown to be the alpha dog in that offense, and then obviously that didn't work out.
Yeah,
and they drafted Ruggs to be that, and he's not really that great. He's good. I'm not going to doubt him for what he is, but he's not not Tyreek Hill, and I don't think that what's his name has the arm strength to be Patrick Mahomes. So anyway, I actually think Allen Robinson was fit with the Raiders.
That would be a good fit.
A bad landing spot for Allen Robinson. But anyway, don't want to spend 3.5 hours on A-Rob. Fantasy value moving forward, though. I think that, wherever Allen Robinson goes, unless the quarterback situation is just so god-awful,
he's going to be fine.
He's going to be fine. But we will discuss post-free agency. We'll do a show post-free agency on all of that stuff.
Landing spots.
So the second guy, Chris Godwin. Like I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time on landing spots. All the teams we just referenced could be teams that go after a wide receiver. I'm going to say that, and I hate to do this because I do think that there's one guy that has a major chance of walking away in the top three, and I don't think it's Chris Godwin or Allen Robinson. I think Robinson re-signs with the Bears. I do think that Chris Godwin will re-sign if Tom Brady has anything to say about it with the Buccaneers.
True.
So he will be back with the Buccaneers, but if he does end up leaving, He's the type of wide receiver that will help any wide receiver room in the league. So he can do everything on the field. So, like I said, I think my favorite landing spots for him would be the Chiefs, probably Miami. Worst landing spots, Eagles, Jets.
Same thing.
Giants, same thing. So, as far as fantasy value moving forward, I don't know that Godwin. I see a lot of these teams are going to throw money out there, and the teams that suck are going to be the teams that throw money out there, and I don't like it. Not for 1 second. And the second they do, Chris Godwin's going to be dead in fantasy. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah.
So, I think moving forward, it's a similar situation with Allen Robinson, where I think Chris Godwin will have fantasy relevance and value anywhere he goes, but his amount of success depends on what the situation is with quarterback and how good that offense is. Yeah. Because if he signs with a Jets and they don't have a quarterback moving forward and their offense really isn't that great, it's going to not look good for Chris Godwin at all.
Now, if the Jets draft Zach Wilson or someone, would you feel better?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's so early in the offseason to sit here and be like, okay, the Jets are a sucky landing spot, or any of these guys. Like the Eagles. I think if there's a guy like Allen Robinson or Chris Godwin out there and they add him, he's automatically going to be good for the offense as opposed to drafting a wide receiver.
My problem with the Eagles, though, I think he'll be good for the offense and he'll still produce, but not to the level statistically as he is now in Tampa Bay. Or same thing with Allen Robinson. Because I just don't know how pass heavy that team is going to be again, considering how much they were this past season and how they might look at that and be like, that was a mistake. And especially if they move forward with Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders. Yeah. I feel like that's a team, and they use the tight ends. So Dallas Goedert's still going to get his targets. I think they still like Jalen Reagor. He'll get some targets. So I don't know. Right. I don't know. I do think whoever, if they go to the Eagles, will still be the alpha, and they'll still get the most targets and all that stuff. But I'm not sure how prolific that passing is going to be.
And Chris Godwin is a slot receiver.
He is, yeah.
So,
but he can play the outside.
Teams who are obsessed with the slot would probably. He can't play the outside. He can't really do anything. I mean, I'd love it.
As a Patriots fan.
As a Patriots fan, as a real life human being, that would suck. Me and Rick were talking mock drafts for the NFL draft earlier before the show because we're trying to figure out some way to get Trey Lance or Justin Fields or Zach Wilson on the New England Patriots. Unlikely, but on our mock drafts, we had probably Kyle Pitts going between 12 and 14. If he falls to New England,
I would take Kyle Pitts.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Anyway, complete side note. But yeah, do you have anything else to say on Chris Godwin? Or
no, we can move on.
Okay, this one's an interesting one. Juju Smith-Schuster is a free agent from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I really fully believe that Juju is not re-signing with Pittsburgh.
Okay,
he's not going anywhere. I mean, he is going somewhere, and it's not going to be in Pittsburgh. I think they have Deontay Johnson, and they have. Was that Antonio Brown you just added to the list?
Yes.
Good God. So Juju will not be returning to Pittsburgh, and I think they have Deontay Johnson. They have Chase Claypool they just drafted, and I don't really think that there's much real need to keep Juju around.
Okay.
If you're, especially at the contract he's probably going to demand.
Yeah. So if you don't think he's going, or if you don't think he's staying in Pittsburgh, where do you think he's going to go?
New England.
Okay. I'd take it.
He's like, I'll take. I don't know what the situation.
The Washington football team is another team that might add a receiver.
Yeah,
they still need a quarterback desperately first, though. But McLaurin, outside of McLaurin, there's really not much there. A guy who can be a number two, I think. And McLaurin, I think he plays the slot, but he also plays the outside.
I'm going to say this. So, I actually think if the Chiefs are actually looking for a wide receiver, I think Juju could go there too.
Dude, all these players go to the Chiefs. It's just
no. About in all honesty, the way he plays the game, and what he does, he fits perfectly, like with the Kansas City Chiefs.
If they're looking for someone to play that Watkins role because they don't feel like Watkins is producing
Watkins
enough.
is going to be done. They were going to trade him last year, and they didn't. They kept him, and he got hurt again. So I actually think the Chiefs would be a legendarily perfect fit for the Chiefs.
Juju, you mean?
Juju would be a perfect fit for the Chiefs.
Stop putting all these good players on the Chiefs, will you?
A man can dream. I mean that in an honest sense. Like somebody like Allen Robinson could go to the Chiefs, but it's highly unlikely because they don't have the room. I think Juju actually, he's not going to demand like the same contract as Allen Robinson or Chris Godwin. So I actually think he'll probably be, like you said, a secondary receiver on a lot of teams that he signs with. Like they're already going to have an alpha on the team that they get, the team that he ends up going to, because he can't be an alpha, and people see that and they know that. So,
do we think the Ravens could be in on any of these guys? I know that their team need is kind of wide receiver as well.
Yeah, I think that I hate to say the guy we're talking about, but Juju. That's probably
him going from Pittsburgh to Baltimore would be
100%. That would be horrible.
Most hated guy in Pittsburgh.
Really, seriously, and he already is pretty hated everywhere.
I know. Yeah.
He's such a nice guy, and he's such a jerk. No, he's not even a jerk on the field. He just does dumb things because he thinks he's funny.
Yeah, like dancing.
Yeah,
dancing is just too much.
Yeah, but he is purely a slot receiver. So teams that need a slot receiver are going to go after him.
Correct.
So that's kind of the
a lot of teams could use a slot receiver.
As far as fantasy value moving forward, if he goes back to Pittsburgh, I'm concerned. If he goes to Kansas City, I think that's a slight upgrade. Anywhere else, really. Kansas City is the only team that I see, which is why I talk about them the most, is as a legit
upgrade.
Like, I believe this guy can probably finish as a wide receiver 1 next year. I think Juju is just... I like Juju a lot as a player in the NFL. I like him as a wide receiver. I think he's talented. But, man, he can't... Like, this year, he was so overrated in so many ways. And he was the year before as well. 2 seasons now, I felt good about Juju. And he's just not. He's not it. So like he's a mid to low end wide receiver too, and that's about it on a team that actually has a quarterback. So
yeah, definitely. I do say, or I will say that there's some situations where I think Juju could be upgraded over Pittsburgh because of opportunity. I know the Steelers throw the ball a ton, but it feels like Deontay Johnson gets like most of those targets, and when Juju gets a lot of targets, it's like 5-yard passes.
Yeah.
Nothing's down the field. I think there's opportunities on other teams where, like, maybe if the Patriots, for example, call Juju and they sign Juju and then they get an upgrade at quarterback and they don't really do anything else at receiver, Juju's going to get a crap ton. Like, whoever goes to New England, like, let's say Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, or Juju, any one of those guys goes to New England and New England doesn't do anything else at the wide receiver position, one of those 3 guys is going to get a crap ton of targets. And I think there's other spots too where Juju could go.
He would get a lot of targets.
Yeah, but it just depends on what else they do though. Like teams might like I don't know. There's some teams that might add 2 receivers. There's some teams that might add a receiver in the draft. We just don't know a lot.
Yeah,
right now.
I think for Juju too, it's just he's a one-trick pony.
If he stays in Pittsburgh, where like is he like a wide receiver like 20?
Yeah. What did he finish this year? Yeah, wide receiver 18. So I mean, he played all 16 too. So it's not like and he had
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
He had his quarterback the whole season. Like I just don't think that he's good. He's a talented wide receiver, but if he can't produce in an offense that likes to throw it almost 600 times,
it's like the way they use him though is so frustrating.
Yeah.
They only use him on like 5-yard pass, like those 3rd and shorts. They'll run a little end route with Juju, and he's like Big Ben's guy who he like relies on most of those 3rd downs, and they'll throw them the ball. His yards per catch is like 7. Like it's not. They do not use him down the field at all.
I don't think that he can be used down the field. And I remember last year
he was
when Big Ben like ripped his shoulder in half in the first game. The first 3 to 4 weeks of the season, they were using him downfield, and they were trying to utilize him like AB as the X or the Y receiver. And he was not successful in it in any aspect.
True, but
and I know you can blame that on the quarterback, but I remember thinking at the time like they need to start getting him the ball in the slot because that's where he had success in the past. And he's shown if you read the perception from fantasy footballers, he's just not. He doesn't have success downfield because he can't get separation.
So what I would say to that though is, that's fine, but he didn't run. Like, you have to still run him down the field sometimes. Pittsburgh didn't at all. Like, in all the games I watched the Steelers, I think one time I can remember them throwing the ball to him like 20 yards down the field once.
Yeah. I think it's just because he can't. They don't trust him to get open. And when you have Claypool and Deontay Johnson who actually can.
But that's what. But if he goes to New England, who's
like, why do you think Deontay Johnson, who had the drops all year, was getting all the targets in that offense? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying I hate Juju or think he's incapable. I think that he's good at one thing, and they want to utilize him to do that one thing. And I don't know that he can do. Like, Chris Godwin is a slot receiver for the Buccaneers, but he can do everything else. I don't know.
I don't think Juju's definitely best at running those short routes.
Yeah.
But I just think the way Pittsburgh utilizes him, I get what you're saying.
Just go back and watch the Pittsburgh Steelers 3 years ago and watch how
I remember but him
that.
When the year he broke out, like remember was it against the Colts, his rookie season or second year?
Yeah, something like
he
that.
had like 4 catches down the field for like 20 plus yards.
Which is fine, but how much I don't remember that game at all, so I can't justify it. But I'm like,
it was when people still like Juju because he would go like on his bike and ride around.
How many were those like crossing patterns that he turned into big plays?
No, they were like down the field throws.
Okay, all right, I don't know. I just know that Juju over time, based on analysis that I've seen from other individuals in my own, is that he doesn't really have a lot of success downfield. Doesn't mean he can't. It just means they don't utilize him in that way because he doesn't have.
But again, a lot of that was also Mason Rudolph. Like, I mean, I'm just saying
he's had a lot more sample size.
But I'm just saying what you're gonna get with Juju on the Steelers.
Me and Rick don't disagree that often.
You know what you're gonna get with Juju on the Steelers. You don't know what you're gonna get with him on a different team where he potentially gets utilized in a better way. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, that might happen. I just don't think outside of Kansas City and Pittsburgh, I don't think that there is another team that will utilize him properly. Unless he signs with somebody who has a really good quarterback. And like I could see Green Bay too if Rodgers
he would be a perfect complimentary guy for Adams too.
No, and he would be perfect there, and I actually would like that landing spot. But I want to see where he goes because if he's him, if he's with himself, and that's it, he's gonna be nothing. He's gonna be wide receiver 20 next year, and that's where I will rank him.
Okay.
So the next guy is Kenny G from the Detroit Lions. This guy also I think is gonna leave. He's gone.
Okay.
I don't think Detroit might actually try to re-sign him, and we'll see. I had that opinion that he was going to leave before they made the trade. But is there any chance that Jared Goff goes to him and says, "Hey"?
No, there's no chance.
Jared Goff is going to swing you.
I was going to say there's no chance that happens, but I think there's a chance the Lions are like, look, we can't let you and Marvin Jones and Danny Amendola all walk.
Listen, son.
We literally have no receivers. We're going to pay you the bank.
Do you like kneecaps? So we're going to eat the kneecaps.
It's about honor, integrity, and money.
I'm sure Dan Campbell can get him to stay.
Yeah, he's going to threaten him. That he's going to bite his kneecaps off and he can't play on another team.
Oh, boy. So, anyway, yeah, Kenny Golladay, I think is more than likely to leave. So this is one of those. He actually, if he didn't get hurt as much and he had a halfway decent season, which he kind of did, points per game wise, right?
Yeah, I think he only played 2 games.
Did he really?
Yeah, he only played a few games.
Frick? Hold on a second.
I think.
Are you sure?
I don't quite remember.
I
want to say he played like a few. I can look it up.
Because Golladay missed like half the season with a hip injury. Excuse me.
He missed the beginning of the season, then came back, played a few games, and then was done after that. He played 5 games.
5 games, okay. All right, let's go to the 5 games category and see what his points per game was.
Week 3 to 8.
He had 11 points per game.
Week 3 to 7. Go week 3 to 7.
He had a what?
Week 3 to 7. I don't know if you did 8.
Okay. You're just going to make me do this live?
Well, because he had in the last game, he didn't get a catch. He got injured in the game, so it doesn't really count.
Okay, so Kenny Golladay was wide receiver 29 through those 4 games.
14 points a game. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. What the hell?
Sort it by points per game now. Dude, come on.
So why didn't you just give me 3 games, the game he didn't get hurt? Yeah, he was like wide receiver 12 or 13.
A little lower.
Yeah, sorry.
In that range, though.
In that range. Probably he's a low on wide receiver, too.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think Detroit's offense was that good. So I don't really put it on Kenny Golladay, just like Rick doesn't really put it on Juju Smith-Schuster, but I do think Pittsburgh's offense was far better than Detroit's. I think Kenny Golladay is a big-time wide receiver 1 in the NFL when staying healthy. He's a top 15 wide receiver, but I think that's going to be his biggest knock this offseason when Al Robinson, Chris Godwin are making their money, is going to be Kenny Galladay's lack of ability to stay on the field, and people are going to be concerned about that. So he'll be the third call for teams who don't get the first two guys.
True, but he's a very he plays a very different role than he's more of a vertical guy. He's more of a jump ball guy.
Just sign Juju and Galladay.
Hey, New England,
call him up.
Yeah, no, the next guy we're going to talk about, I think, is more a fit for this team, but the Rams, I know they have zero cap, or they don't have a lot of money now.
Yeah.
But there's talks that they're going to try to still pursue a deep threat.
Try to utilize him like Brandon Cooks.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I'm Galladay back to the Rams, or back with Stafford, on the Rams.
That is not a bad landing spot, my friend.
Yeah.
I don't know what the outlook would be in terms of fantasy production.
Yeah, because you'd play a specific role.
Yeah, Kenny Galladay was a wide receiver one. I think one year all three of them were a wide receiver one, but I can't with the Rams. I can't with the amount of their 3 running back rotations, their 3 wide receiver rotations. Give me a break. Can we have anything fantasy wise?
I also
from the Rams
don't
offense?
think
kill me now.
They're gonna have enough money to do that.
Yeah, probably not.
Another team we haven't talked
about. It's funny because they might need to.
True.
They have no draft picks.
Quickly, the Jaguars might add another guy.
Okay. I don't think they really. DJ Chark is the same kind of wide receiver.
Yes, exactly. But they have so much money, and with Trevor Lawrence, you want to have Chark on one side, Galladay on the other, and then Chenault in the slot. That's not bad.
It's not a bad situation, but I probably wouldn't be excited.
I wouldn't be excited either, but I'm just saying the Jaguars have $70 million in cap space to just throw around. So
honestly, I think it's bad if he goes back to Detroit, and I think it's bad if he goes anywhere else. But maybe the place you mentioned, the Rams or Kansas City.
Yeah,
Kansas City will always be.
Kansas City's on every list for you.
Only for the top 4 guys. The next couple, we don't have a lot of time left, but we'll talk about 1 or 2 more guys, and then maybe Rick's guy, because I'm not going to talk about AJ Green, T.Y. Hilton, Sammy Watkins, or Larry Fitzgerald. Antonio Brown, by the way, Antonio Brown. If you want to talk about him, he's going back to the Buccaneers.
Probably
if Brady has anything to do with it. So yeah, and it's not going to be a big contract either. He didn't do anything to make. Did you see the 3 catches of his season? Did you see his end of season? The last 5 games.
It was good.
Yeah, he was actually freaking awesome. I was like, what the heck? I don't know if really quickly, I don't know if you go a full season with him, with Brady, and a full off season.
I know, but we've been saying this for 4 years now. He's old, dude. He's getting real old.
Yeah.
I want to say he's
Antonio Brown was the wide receiver 11 in those 4 weeks. I'm sorry. I'll put 14 because they didn't even play him in one game. Wide receiver 13.
He's going to be 33 next year. At what point does a wide receiver just fall off because of age?
I know. I just like Antonio Brown. So anyway, I don't think he'll have a lot of fantasy relevance, but he'll be a lone wide receiver too. Okay. So he still has value, but I didn't want to spend
especially if Godwin walks.
Yeah. Right. So let's talk about Will Fuller really quickly.
Sure.
Houston, probably I would have guessed Houston would re-sign him if they were keeping what's his name, but I would say that's not going to happen. So
Deshaun Watson, yeah. I think Fuller's probably gone. Again, he can kind of do both, but I think he's more of a vertical guy. Would you say?
Yeah, I also, in my opinion,
he can do both though. He's an underrated receiver. His problem is health.
Mm-hmm.
But what were you gonna say in your opinion?
I think these because we're kind of out of time to talk about more guys, but the next couple guys are kind of ancillary guys. They'll probably be supplementary in any offense. So teams that already have I could see just to tell you what the next couple eyes: Will Fuller, Marvin Jones, and then Corey Davis. Corey Davis is that vertical guy you were talking about. I could see him with the Rams as well. But for Marvin Jones and Will Fuller, they're both guys that could be good wide receivers, but they're probably going to be signed as secondary guys to a main wide receiver, big time wide receiver one. So
to package with. See, I think Will Fuller though is a much like I'd put Fuller in like the. I might even. Oh, geez, I don't know. I really like Will Fuller.
I know you do, but it's just not. It's anywhere he goes at this point is not going to be good for him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like if he lands with the Jets, that's.
Yeah, it's gonna depend on landing spot too. But he was ridiculous.
27. Dude. He's gonna be 27 when.
He'll be 27. I think this is the same age as Galladay. Yeah, and some other guys, but yeah, dude, he was like. Fantasy wise, it's gonna be. He was the wide receiver 5 when he got suspended.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is that gonna go into the next year or is it
the suspension?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So teams will probably take that into account. So I think the team that was rumored to trade for him was the Packers. They wanted to put him with Devontae Adams, which would be ridiculous. With Will Fuller with Aaron Rodgers would be ridiculous because just him running by people and like down the field and Rodgers just hitting him every time. Like that would be a perfect fit. I do really I like Will Fuller a lot more than you do. I think I like him more than Galladay, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's close between those two guys. They're in the same tier for me. You don't?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I love Will Fuller.
I think Galladay's better than Will Fuller.
Okay.
I think Will.
I think
Will Fuller was literally the only target in the offense that could have any kind of.
See, is this because you were down on Will Fuller last year too, and then he proved you wrong?
No, dude. He got injured again, so nothing was proven wrong.
Well, he was the wide receiver 5 through half the season.
And?
Okay, whatever. It's going to depend on landing spot with him, though.
I really I think
because I do think I will say if he goes to a team that's not a great situation, he
just kind of walked into the slot receiver role that DeAndre Hopkins held. Which is why I think he
put up
success.
the same numbers.
No, right. He was, but like I said, that's offense. You know what I mean? Like it's not that he was playing like DeAndre Hopkins. It was that he was in an offense that was curated around the slot receiver, which is also named Bill O'Brien, which also came from New England, who is slot receiver.
He's a really good
I think he's a good wide receiver. I just don't think he's
to put him in this. To me, I like Marvin Jones. I think he's underrated, but Will Fuller is so much better than Marvin Jones, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Kenny Galladay, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chris Godwin, and Allen Robinson are probably far better than Will Fuller. But
I would say Allen Robinson and Godwin are, but I don't think Juju and Galladay. I think they're better, but not. I think they're all in the same tier. Oh, okay. Like to me, it's those top 5 guys, and then
you're a little. You have some. You get a chubby for Charlie.
Dude,
sometimes.
I don't think you just have seen what Will Fuller like.
I have. I looked at him. He was pretty good. I tried to trade for him during the fantasy season. I know.
Ignoring fantasy football on the field.
I think it's offensive fit. Like Juju had a couple of really good years. I think sometimes there's like really, really good production because you're a ridiculously good receiver. And then sometimes like Austin Hooper, for example, at the tight end position, he was a top 3 tight end because of how they were utilizing him, not because of his talent. He goes to the Browns and he completely vanishes. And I'm like, Will Fuller is going to sign with a team and he's going to vanish. It's either because it's going to be because of injury or it's going to be because of anything else. So
okay,
he was good, but Houston's offense is the reason why he was good.
Houston's offense is good,
it's not.
I wasn't
you're
saying overreacting.
Listen. I'm not saying that Houston's offense is good. I'm saying that like
it predicates around their slot. I get what you're saying.
Yes,
I get what you're saying, and I agree with you, which is why I think his numbers were amped up. His number. I'm agreeing with. I think his numbers were amped up.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But he's still a very good receiver. It's not a fluke that he was a top 5 statistic wide receiver.
I think very good receiver is not. I think for me,
and I'm not saying he's a top 5 guy.
And he's a good wide receiver
at all.
I think that the way he was utilized in that offense made him where he was, and that between injuries and the offense, if you take the offense away from him. And with the injuries, he's not going to finish as a wide receiver 1. Like, it's not going to happen. Or maybe even a wide receiver 2. Like, I just...
Last year?
This year. I'm talking about this upcoming season because that's what we're talking about. If he leaves Houston, and Houston's offense is changing. And the fact that Houston might not even re-sign him is I don't know.
He doesn't want to re-sign him.
I don't think Will Fuller sucks. I think he'll help any team in the league. I just think fantasy-wise... He's going to drop into
irrelevancy. He's not going to be top 5 receiver. I'm not saying that.
Where does he go? Landing spot. He kind of reminds me of Sammy Watkins, to be honest with you.
Oh
He
my
could go to
gosh,
Kansas-
dude, get out of
go to
here! I'm about
Kansas
to
City.
walk off.
He could go to Kansas City. You forgot how good Sammy Watkins was back in the day too.
I'm disgusted at that. Sheesh, man.
I'm not
I'll say
comparing Will
Dolphins.
Fuller to
I'll say
Sammy Watkins
Dolphins.
in their current states. Talking about what Sammy Watkins was when he was good for 2 seasons. What did you say? What was the
I'll
landing
say
spot?
Dolphins.
Landing spot for Kenny Galladay.
Rams
Okay.
going off the board.
Juju Smith-Schuster. Where does he go?
Chiefs.
Chris Godwin. Tampa.
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right. Where does he go?
Oh, I gotta look at this again.
Okay. I'm gonna say he goes back to Tampa.
I'm
gonna
gonna
say A-Rob
say-
goes to the Bears.
Godwin goes to. It's gonna be gross, but Ravens.
Okay.
I think they're gonna add.
We'll
somebody.
see. We'll see where that goes. I think Marvin Jones is gonna go to the Patriots, and/or Corey Davis is gonna go to the
Yep,
Patriots
Marvin Jones is a Patriot.
for life, baby. Life.
Hey, I'll take Corey Davis.
Yeah, that's great.
He's just my guy though.
Anyway, those are the top wide receiver free agents for the 2021 upcoming 2021 season. So it's been interesting. We're going to break down quarterbacks and tight ends on next Tuesday's episode. We finally have some ADP, so we're going to break it down on Thursday.
Okay.
Shake it up and break it down. Give you some ADP analysis. We did that last year for like 1 episode. We're going to do it again. So be sure to check that episode out. Talk to you Thursday.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.